I love that bit. Hey everyone, so yesterday I mentioned these product pop-ups. You saw Raji do his dance, and I can't dance as well as him, but I'm going to talk very quickly about the next pop-up. I mentioned the machine discovery workbench. Basically, the idea is we talked about people data, we talked about completeness. The next natural thing is to give you the sense-making tools that you then apply to the people data to do some data mining, some discovery, to better understand the audiences that you have. And it's not one thing, the workbench is a product, but there are a set of tools that we're building into that product to better understand and analyze and ask different types of questions and get those answered. That's basically the concept behind the workbench tool that we're bringing out. Now, I can spend a lot of time talking about that, but it seems kind of odd to not talk about it without having my data science buddy, Jakov Salomon. So I'm going to bring him up on stage. He spends 27 hours a day talking about data and teaches me a lot about data and how to speak datanese. And he promised me he's going to keep all the data stuff at a 5th grade level so that I can understand it. So please welcome Jakov Salomon. Jakov, thanks for helping out. You want to stand? You want to sit?
Let's sit.
Let's just sit down. All right.
Yeah.
So let's start with the first tool that we put in the workbench, which is the index tool. Index mapping. So the way we talk about index, the way you explained it to me, is basically it helps you highlight the main characteristics of a population, perhaps measured against some sort of affinity to first, second, third party stuff. Logically, it makes a lot of sense. How about you give us an example of what that actually means for clients?
Sure. So let's start with an example from the marketing space, inspired by our clients. Suppose you have Gold Club members, right, that bring in tremendous revenue. And let's suppose you want to do two things. You want to upsell Silver Club members to Gold because Gold lifetime value is twice that of Silver. And you want to upsell Gold to Platinum because Platinum lifetime value is 1.5 times that of Gold. Now, your advertising team wants to know what are the demographic and socioeconomic makeup of those three different groups, and in particular, how do they differ from each other, right? So leveraging the index map, you can quickly identify the key features and attributes that are overrepresented or underrepresented in each one of these groups relative to another one. So for example, you might find that Gold Club members are skewed towards older ages and higher income brackets when compared to Silver Club, but not when compared to Platinum. Right? So knowing, of course, what's the makeup of any group helps with the marketing efforts. And the clients that we have that use this tool find it indispensable when they're planning their campaign, marketing campaigns. Right? Now, I used demographic and socioeconomics example, and I'll use it throughout my examples just for clarity, but you could use any set of features and attributes that make sense in any one of the problems you need to solve.
That makes perfect sense. Actually, someone asked me about that last night in a very different context. You didn't use gold and silver, but very similar analogies. But how about, that's a great marketer use case. How about for publishers?
Yeah, of course. So there's plenty of use cases for publishers, of course. Let's assume you want to run a digital video ad sort of campaign, right? And you want to generate some audience data products to offer advertisers for targeting. Right? So again, using the index map, you can quickly identify what are the characteristics of a group of users that is most best to target for that particular case. So an advertiser RFP will come with some audience profile requirements, and using the index map, you can help publishers with the sale process to identify not just the highly sought after audience, but also making sure that their characteristics satisfy the advertiser's KPIs.
That makes a lot of sense. But you know what? I know you hate these questions from me, but every time you say that, I feel like I could do that with an Excel spreadsheet, man. Why do we need you?
Great question. So, while the mathematics here seem trivial, we got to remember some things. First of all, we are processing billions and billions of records here, trying to count the fraction of unique users that belong to features in each of those populations and subpopulations. So you need a machinery that can do that at scale, and we're leveraging cognitive here behind the scene. There's also the element of the underlying data and some biases and incomplete data there. And what we found is when us or clients applied the mathematics naively, you end up with results that are counterintuitive. Like you might find out that both male and female are overrepresented in gold when compared to silver, whereas common logic says that if one gender is over, then the other should be under. So index map takes care of all of these idiosyncrasies out of the box for you. And finally, we found a client really want the freedom to pick and choose all populations and feature combinations. For example, they might want to study the converters on a campaign against the engagers to figure out what makes a converter, or they might want to study the same converters against converters from another campaign to figure out what are the differences in messaging and effectiveness of execution between the campaigns that drove people to convert. So we have a simple UI where clients can enter all the different combinations of features and segments. We do the heavy lifting, and then we exposed the result in some simple charts that are interactive and that. So to your question, unfortunately, really, you can't.
It's a stars in the universe type of problem.
Exactly.
I get that, and I think a lot of it has to do with the flexibility we offer our clients. So the other set of tools, which seems complementary to this, is you love frequent pattern analysis. We talk about it all the time. So how do you apply that to the stars in the universe problem?
Okay. So and look, index tool is a great tool to quickly identify the main key characteristics of a population, and there's many cases where this is sufficient. But we all know that ultimately, people are made of very, very complex personas, and seeing a single, any single dimension in isolation is not going to give you the full picture. So for example, if you go back to our Gold Club members, if I know that 60% of them are female, 40% of them are high earners, another 30% are, say, IT professionals, and another 20% are health food lovers, I still don't know exactly how many females that are IT professional, high earners, and love health food are out there, right? So what we want here is we want a tool to throw in absolutely all the data we have against each user, and then for it to tell us what are the important combinations of attributes really that are relevant and common enough that we should be aware of, right? And so, we have the machinery, we throw cognitive at it. Combinations grow very, very quickly, and human cannot sieve through it. But cognitive and the algorithm sieves through the data and come up with, the most meaningful associations between attributes that we need to be aware of.
Makes a lot of sense. So very quickly, because we're going to run out of time, there's a similar publisher situation here where you discover more about your audiences, right?
Yeah.
And create new personas, etc.
Yeah. So I think both for marketers and publishers, and we probably go to the publisher example, but both for marketers and publisher, the key advantage here is that in a world where you can't test all attribute combinations, you have to form or pre-form very few concrete hypotheses about who your audience is, and then test each one of them. But using this tool, leveraging the pattern map, you are able to test at once all possible hypotheses and usually discover many, many new ones because we are able to leverage, do the heavy lifting, right? So for publishers, for example, you might have your highly sought after, very targeted mom segment. And you might discover that it actually made up of two other patterns that exist, or two other personas that exist within the segment. There might be one persona of moms that are, cooking enthusiasts that mainly come to your site on the weekends, during the day, on the tablet. And there's another persona which is, fitness enthusiasts who visit your site in the afternoon, during the week, on, through your mobile app, for example. Right? And here's the interesting thing. The sum of users that belong to these two personas is greater than the original mom segment. That is because, again, we all have complex persona and more than one. I could be one persona on one device on the other, or even on the same device at different times of day. So there are users that belong to both these personas. So for the publisher, it basically, as well as creating more exciting audience products that fetch higher CPMs, you are also able to effectively extend your segments and get better utilization of your audience.
Fantastic. I think we're going to get kicked off the stage, Jakub. This is a pop-up, so we were only going to get 10 minutes. So this is all cool. Thank you for helping out.
Okay.
Always fun hanging out with you, and I'm hoping that I'm not making you any dumber, and don't answer that question.
Okay.
We're going to roll this out, right?
Thank you
very
soon.
Good. All right, cool.